All right, guys, I'm talking about BDK today. You know, they just launched a new collection of fragrances called Collection Studio, including Oud Paradisio, Silver Ceremony, and Stellar Silk. So these are very highly concentrated fragrances, and they are considered Absolu de Parfum. So these are, I think, in the ballpark of 40 to 48% concentration. But they're not called Extrait de Parfum. But what I wanted to do in today's video, since we have a collection of Extrait de Parfum fragrances and we now have the Collection Studio as well, all of the fragrances are highly concentrated. I thought I'd put together a video talking about this collection of higher concentrated fragrances from the house of BDK, which today I'm also going to talk about Nectar Oud and Velvet Tonka. But we have Gris Charnel Extrait de Parfum, Ce Soir Extrait de Parfum, Rouge Smoking Extrait de Parfum, Nectar Oud Extrait de Parfum, Velvet Tonka Extrait de Parfum, and then we've got Oud Paradisio in the Absolu de Parfum, Silver Ceremony in the Absolu de Parfum, and Stellar Silk in Absolu de Parfum. So I'll go over the entire collection here, and then I'm going to do a ranking of all of the fragrances. So you're going to find out which are my favorites. But I speak about one of them quite a bit. You probably already know. And if you know my taste, you probably already know. But I haven't really spoken about the Collection Studio, and I'm going to talk about it today. So let's first talk about Gris Charnel Extrait, which was launched in 2022. This was the first Extrait de Parfum from BDK. And also, David, the founder of the brand, came to the studio here, and I shot a video with him probably when this first launched. But Gris Charnel, I think, is the most popular fragrance from the house. That's why they launched an Extrait de Parfum first. And this fragrance features notes of cardamom, black tea, figs, iris absolute, cistus essence, bourbon vetiver, patchouli, vanilla, sandalwood, cedar, and tonka beans. I think the original is very popular. This also, I feel like, takes the fragrance into a slightly more masculine direction if the original is on the feminine side. But for me, it's quite spicy. You can recognize the tea in here, and the figs do come through as well. But for me, this is lots of woods and spices and a little bit darker leaning as well. You've got a lot of different woody notes in this, and so it acts very woody and of course very spicy at the same time. I wouldn't call this a tea fragrance. I wouldn't call it a fig fragrance. I just feel like everything is working together nicely. I think it's an improvement on the original because I'm not a big fan of the original, but also it's not one of my favorites from the line. I do enjoy it quite a bit though. I felt like it needs a little bit more excitement, which this doesn't have, but I think it could be a fragrance that you can wear day in and day out. I think the Extrait de Parfum version is good. It's good. It's nice work. It's just not my all-time favorite from the house. So I don't pull for it that much. But Gris Charnel Extrait is the first Extrait offering from the house. We'll talk about Ce Soir Extrait next, which happens to be an awesome Extrait. It's so awesome, by the way. In regards to the Extrait fragrances from the house, I think they're concentrated at around 30%. The Absolu de Parfum fragrances, as I said, 40 to 48%. Very highly concentrated. But Ce Soir Extrait does remind me of the original. It does a lot, actually. But for me, I discovered the Extrait de Parfum of Ce Soir before I discovered the original. The original, you can tell they're very similar, but noticeable with the concentrations. The original comes off very light. It's thinner. Even though it's an eau de parfum, it acts thinner. And then you can definitely tell that this has a lot more depth. It's much more intense. And also the patchouli has been intensified in this as well. But the notes breakdown for Ce Soir Extrait includes black pepper, ginger, cocoa, pears, tangerine, jasmine, quince chutney, orange blossom, patchouli, benzoin, cashmeran, vanilla, and ambroxan. This stuff smells so amazing on my skin. I love the projection. I love the sillage, and I've received compliments as well. This doesn't go super chocolatey with the patchouli, but there are light traces of the chocolate in this. But what I like about it is the fruitiness. The quince chutney, I've actually experienced quince. I've eaten quince quite a bit actually, and I like that fruity part here, and it's a nice contrast against the patchouli. But they also have the pear in here and the ginger to give it a little bit of a zingy spice. But for me, this one's hands down one of the best extraits from the house. I absolutely love the way it smells. It's thick, it's dense, it's not airy like the original, has great performance, and I love the projection and sillage on this. Projects great. Whereas I felt like Gris Charnel Extrait is a bit boring. It's not exciting. This one to me is super exciting. That's what I love about it. We're talking about Ce Soir Extrait. Let me know if you're a fan between Gris Charnel Extrait and Ce Soir Extrait. Which is your favorite? All right, up next we're talking about Rouge Smoking Extrait. And I just featured this in a Fragrances with the Most Sillage video. This is so super concentrated and intense. So it made that list. For me, it was so overwhelming when I first smelled it. I went anosmic because it's so strong with the amber woods. And so it's so intense and intensified, made so much deeper. But they've taken cherries, cherry liqueur, almondy notes, and added a lot of spices and resinous amber woods notes in the base. And I think it's the amber woods in the base that's creating a super intense experience. But for the notes breakdown here, we've got red mandarin, Napoleon cherries, almonds, pink pepper, bergamot, elemi, milk accord, tonka beans, Peru balsam, labdanum, saffron, Thai oud, amber woods, black vanilla, rum extract, patchouli, benzoin, cypriol, and ambroxan. There's a lot going on here. It's super, super intense. Very amber resin forward, but in addition to the ambers and resins, you also have amber woods experience, and I feel like ambroxan dominates here super intensely. And for me, the original was not super exciting, but I enjoyed it, and they've just really outdone themselves with the intensity. Again, for me, I went anosmic when I was first testing this out. My nose couldn't handle the intensity. So it's quite intense. If I had to list this fragrance in the 3 that I've spoken about so far, this would be my number 2, next to Ce Soir being my number 1, Gris Charnel being my number 3. So that is Rouge Smoking Extrait de Parfum. And let me know your thoughts on that fragrance. Now we're talking about Nectar Oud. This is a Harrods exclusive from the house of BDK. And this actually is quite nicely done. For me, it does remind me a little bit of something like the Moon from Julian Rascanet. I'm not saying it's smelling identical. I feel like it's a similar theme or idea. So Nectar Oud is super fruity, lots of fruity notes mixed in with oud, spices, leather, saffron, and notes like that. So it's a very Middle Eastern leaning fragrance. And I feel like it makes sense for them to have an exclusive fragrance like this for Harrods. But the notes breakdown for Nectar Oud, we've got saffron, raspberry, amyris, rose, olibanum oil and resin, leather, cypriol, amber, benzoin resin, atlas cedar, patchouli, gaiac wood, amber wood, and oud. Yeah, this is an oud lover's dream come true. It does remind me of the Moon, as I was saying, but the Moon to me is dry. This is much more syrupy, and I feel like there's more syrupy, kind of wet, kind of molasses syrupy amber touches in comparison to the Moon, which to me is quite dry. They're not identical smelling. I feel like the ideas are very similar though, where you have oud, leathery, saffrony things happening with the fruits and the rose together. Very, very similar idea, I feel like. And it's, like I said, perfectly fitting for the Harrods clientele. This, I do enjoy it, but it's I prefer Ce Soir still as my number 1. This is kind of tied with Rouge Smoking Extrait. This is Nectar Oud, number 3, and Gris Charnel Extrait is number 4. But the thing is, Nectar Oud is a brand spanking new fragrance. It was never an eau de parfum, whereas the rest of the fragrances I've spoken about so far were eau de parfums before. So they made extract versions of it. So this fragrance was specifically made as an Extrait de Parfum and a Harrods exclusive. All right, up next, we're talking about Velvet Tonka Extrait. And I think this is an exclusive fragrance as well. And I believe it's going to get a global rollout very soon. I'm a fan of Velvet Tonka. It's one of my favorite fragrances from the house. In fact, Ce Soir Extrait is my number 1. Velvet Tonka is my number 2. Is Velvet Tonka Extrait replacing the number 2 spot with my favorite fragrance from the house overall? I'll tell you at the end. But Velvet Tonka Extrait is an Extrait de Parfum version of the original Velvet Tonka. And we have now pistachios added to the mix of notes. But the notes breakdown here is pistachios, cosmo fruit, orange blossom, cinnamon, tonka beans, tobacco, vanilla, and Saffiano leather. So they've added this leather mix, and then also they've added the pistachio note. You can definitely notice it. I feel like with the original, you do have a little bit more prominent orange blossom. Here it's a bit more toned down, and the stronger, more deeper notes have been amplified so that you get that full experience with the Extrait de Parfum treatment. And for me, it's not a fresh fragrance. It doesn't come off fresh in its original form. It just comes off lighter. And as I was saying, I feel like there was more orange blossom with the original. Here, it's a bit more toned down. You smell it as soon as you spray it, but it kind of goes away and pistachio's nuttiness takes over. The original is about tonka. This is called Velvet Tonka. So that's the key note, but the original also had almonds. I believe they've removed the almonds, but for me, tonka beans are kind of almondy, but more like bitter almonds. This is a nice update. I really enjoy it. This is going to take the second place for my second favorite of the extract so far. Then we've got the Rouge Smoking and the Nectar Oud tied, and Gris Charnel is still at the end. Yep, I can't enjoy every fragrance. That is not a very exciting fragrance for me. And so, yeah, but I hope you guys get a chance to try Velvet Tonka Extrait. It's quite delicious. It's a delicious take on the original, much more concentrated, and with the addition of the pistachios. All right, now we're going to the collection studio fragrances. We're going to talk about Oud Paradisio first. We're doing this in alphabetical order since we're doing it by year. This is Silver Ceremony and then Stellar Silk. If you guys know these three fragrances, do you know which one is going to be my favorite from the collection studio? Let me know. So also the Absolu de Parfum fragrances are concentrated at 40 to 48%, whereas the original extracts are around 30%. So Oud Paradisio, I've been telling you guys I'm kind of bored of Oud. This one's not clicking for me, unfortunately. I'm telling you right up front, but this has notes of bergamot, pineapple ice cream, incense, saffron, Turkish rose, Bulgarian rose, cocoa, and Thai oud. Unfortunately, two of the fragrances out of the three here in the collection studio, there is something almost like cologne in the two fragrances that it's an instant no for me, unfortunately. I don't know why I get that, but I get it here, and I'm thinking it's coming from the pineapple ice cream because that's the only fresh note that's really in here that could cause something like that, but it instantly makes it not a very pleasant fragrance for me. Also, the fact that I'm a bit bored of oud in fragrances, I find Nectar Oud a lot more exciting than Oud Paradisio, unfortunately. What are your thoughts on Oud Paradisio? Let me know, add a comment below. Up next, we've got Silver Ceremony. So originally I thought this was going to be my favorite fragrance, and looking at the notes breakdown, and since this is created by Jordi Fernandez, I thought this might be kind of similar to Blue Talisman. But once again, with this one, there is something cologne-like in it as well. I just cannot tolerate that smell, unfortunately. Something about what they've mixed in here that, I don't know, not my favorite note. I don't know if you guys have experienced it with Silver Ceremony. It's stronger in Silver Ceremony in comparison to Oud Paradisio. But Silver Ceremony has notes of bergamot, green mandarin, lemon essence, ginger, pink pepper, patchouli, atlas cedar, labdanum, citrus oud accord, Indian cypriol. Yeah, I mean, this smells quite good, but it smells better on the strip, but on skin, it comes right through and it turns me off. But when you don't smell that marine stuff, it's such a great smell. So good, really highly concentrated freshy. That is sort of reminiscent to Blue Talisman from Ex Nihilo, but much stronger, much concentrated. But testing this out, I got that marine kind of cologne-like note. It came right through. And since I'm so sensitive to it, I couldn't tolerate it, unfortunately. Which is really, really disappointing because this is the one I was really looking forward to. And I was thinking, God, this is going to be a super intense freshie. And it can be, but that bothered me. unfortunately. Do you guys get that with both of these fragrances? Oud Paradisio and Silver Ceremony. Let me know, add a comment below. And the last fragrance happens to be my favorite in the Absolu de Parfum collection, and that is Stellar Silk. Why is this one is my favorite? Well, first of all, it's got notes that I really enjoy. And second, it doesn't have that cologne smell. I don't know, maybe they're not using cologne in the fragrance, but it comes off kind of sulfuric and it smells like cologne, and I just can't tolerate it, unfortunately. But this Stellar Silk has notes of ginger, cinnamon bark, iris butter, Madagascar vanilla, benzoin, Venezuelan tonka beans, roasted tonka beans, and Australian sandalwood. To me, it's a very highly concentrated, woody, vanillic amber, super strong with an intense ginger up top. Cinnamon is also prominent, but it acts more like woody cinnamon rather than cinnamon spice. It gives me a very powdery effect, but it becomes kind of ambery, vanillic woods in the base. Heavy on the woods. This is a super intense amber vanillic woods experience, but for me, I enjoy this one quite a bit. I just wanted a little bit more excitement, but between the three, this is my favorite, and thankfully it doesn't have that cologne-like effect that the other two fragrances were bothering me with, unfortunately. Very long-lasting. All three of these fragrances are long-lasting. In fact, the fact that it had the cologne in the other two, I couldn't wait to take them off because I kept smelling. Just the thing with sensitivity to things, it's like you smell what you're very sensitive to. And for me, I'm very sensitive to cologne or whatever cologne-like a note can be. But thankfully, like I said, this one doesn't have that. And this is also super, super potent. Very long lasting. Like this one, you cannot wash off. All right, now we want to do the ranking. I'm going to tell you the ranking right off the bat. So number one, Ce Soir Extrait. Still my favorite. Absolutely love this one. It's so super sexy. The combination of the fruits, the light cocoa and the patchouli together is match made in heaven. I love it. I can't get enough of it, and I wear plenty of it. Number two is Velvet Tonka Extrait. Velvet Tonka is my second favorite if I'm ranking the whole entire house. I love it. And now we've got an Extrait de Parfum version of it, and with the addition of pistachio and much more deeper and more intense. And it makes sense. It's my second favorite extract or Absolu de Parfum fragrance here. And it's absolutely delicious. It's not super gourmand, but it acts gourmandesque. Again, it's woody ambery, and the orange blossom seems to be a bit toned down, but super awesome. So yeah, number two, Velvet Tonka. I can't decide if I want to put Nectar Oud or Rouge Smoking at number three, but I'm going to put Rouge Smoking at number three. Rouge Smoking is so intense with the cherry. It's like a cherry liqueur. It's almondy. It's also super ambery, resinous, and musky, and overdosed with amber wood. So it's really, really intense, super heavy, almost like anosmia inducing, because as I said, when I first started testing that out, it was like so strong to my nose. I now have adjusted to it. I can appreciate its intensity, and I can separate the juicy, boozy cherry liqueur part with the almonds and all the resins and amber woods in the base. So that is Rouge Smoking. Then we've got Nectar Oud at number four. Nectar Oud at number four. It's a great oud. It's a fragrance style that I'm very familiar with. It does hint at Julian Rasconet's creation for Frederic Malle called The Moon. It's created by Anne Filippo of IFF. I don't know, maybe that's also the reason why it reminds me of The Moon, because I believe The Moon was created, yeah, it definitely was created by Julian Rasconet when he worked at IFF, so maybe they're using similar ingredients. I don't know, but it reminds me of it. They're different. The only thing is, The Moon is very dry to me. Nectar Oud acts very syrupy. It's not as dry. So there's that difference, but the idea is similar. I'm not saying they smell identical, but the idea is similar. So I'm going with Nectar Oud at number four. Then it's going to be pretty tough for me to decide between Gris Charnel and Stellar Silk. I'm going with Stellar Silk as number five, even though it's not as exciting as the other four. Stellar Silk I like. It's a overdose of amber with lots of vanilla and woods. It's super, super woods heavy and warm spicy, but the fact that the base is so heavy, you don't get a lot of the ginger. You do get ginger, but the cinnamon is not super strong, and I wish the cinnamon was a little bit stronger, but I am going here with Stellar Silk as number 5. I think it's really nicely done. I just wish it had something a little bit more oomph created, but very, very potent. Some of the strongest that I've ever experienced in fragrances. Then we've got at number 6, Gris Charnel Extrait. I don't hate it. I think it's a perfect everyday fragrance for somebody that doesn't want something super exciting, because I don't find the fragrance exciting. Smells good. I think it's perfect that way. It's the concentrated version of the original, which is the most popular for the brand. And it's got the fig accord, it's got the black tea, it's got other notes in the base to give it much more strength and depth compared to the original. And it's lovely. I just think it can become somebody's signature scent, and they could wear it day in and day out, rather than wear the original, which is lighter. They would wear the Extrait. So I'm putting it here at number 6. I'm gonna go with Silver Ceremony at number 7 and Oud Paradisio at number 8. I really, really love Silver Ceremony and what it stands for. It's this super intense extrait of a fresh fragrance idea, kind of reminiscent of Blue Talisman from Ex Nihilo, but much more stronger. And the fact that these 3 fragrances were created by Jordi Fernandez, just like Blue Talisman is. So that's kind of why I thought this is kind of Blue Talisman leaning, but it's that cologne-like note that bothers me, that makes me not want to wear this fragrance, unfortunately. And the same thing with Oud Paradisio. I don't know why it's in there, or maybe it's an accord or the reaction of ingredients together. Oud Paradisio, I'm already pretty bored of oud myself, and this one is not so exciting. And the fact that it has that cologne-like effect, unfortunately, it's not for me. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the extracts of BDK. What are your thoughts? I should say those are my thoughts on the extracts and also the collection studio fragrances that are Absolu de Parfum. Again, the extracts I think are around 30%. The Absolu de Parfum fragrances are around 40 to 48%. So much more concentrated fragrances. But let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Do add a comment below. How would you rank all of these? Do them in the order of your preference. I'd like to find out. Thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please interact with this video, like it, share it, please add a comment, and then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Bye-bye.